She walked into the ring, limping slightly. Gray locks tied back, a deep scar down her forearm. The young fighters on the sidelines? They laughed. They whispered, "Who let this old black lady in?" What they didn't know was that every scar on her body came with a story they couldn't survive. And in the next 30 seconds, she'd leave the entire arena in silence with one single strike. Don't scroll. This story will leave you speechless. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and tell us where you're watching from. We love seeing how far our stories go. Let's get into it. Maya Delaney never asked for the spotlight. She just showed up when it mattered. Every Thursday she mopped the back hallway of Kincaid Boxing Gym in Philly. Same playlist, same old blue sneakers, same silence. But today, there was a crowd, there was a camera crew, and there was that voice. "Hey, Miss Maya?" It was Terrence, the gym owner's nephew, wiping sweat off his forehead with shaking hands. "You, might want to come see this." Maya sighed and leaned her mop against the wall. Inside the main ring, a young white trainer barked instructions at a cocky 24-year-old fighter. The crowd around them roared. A sign overhead read, "Street Legends Invitational, Open Challenge." "Open challenge? Open challenge?" Maya whispered. "They said anyone can try." Terrence mumbled, "You've got 60 seconds to make him stumble." The kid in the ring, Trey Maddox, undefeated, sponsored, loud, was pacing like a lion. He kept grinning at the women in the front row and spitting on the mat. Suddenly, he locked eyes with Maya. "Hey, Grandma." The mic picked it up. The crowd laughed. "You want to try next?" "I don't hit geriatrics, unless it's bingo night." Terrence flinched. Maya looked at the boy and smiled, slow, calm, almost sad. Then she walked away. 2 minutes later she was back, but this time without the mop. She was barefoot, her gray tank top soaked in back sweat, and in her hands, wrapped hand cloths. Faded, but steady. You could feel the mood shift. Trey chuckled nervously. "Y'all serious?" Maya stepped into the ring. No warm-up, no trash talk, just one nod to the ref. Terrence whispered to the cameraman, "Roll it. This ain't about the kid." The bell rang. Maya didn't move. Trey bounced, jabbed, spun around like he was performing for a crowd at Coachella. She waited. Her hands dropped to her waist, relaxed. Then, one sharp step forward, her elbow flashed, and Trey was on the ground. Not knocked out, not screaming, just frozen, clutching his ribs, eyes wide like he'd seen a ghost from his childhood. The room went dead quiet. Maya turned to the ref and said, "Call it," then walked out the same way she came in. Outside the ring, a reporter from a local blog jogged up beside her. "Wait, ma'am. Maya, right? Who are you?" She paused, then looked him straight in the eye. "You ever heard of the Dakar street riots?" The reporter nodded slowly. "That was my training ground." And with that, she vanished into the back hallway. What nobody in the crowd knew was that Maya Delaney used to be one of the most feared underground fighters across 3 continents, until she walked away, because the last person she fought was the father of her only daughter. But that's a story for another day, and it's not over. Not yet. Later that night, the gym was quiet again. The lights buzzed overhead. Maya sat alone in the locker room, unwrapping her hands slowly like she was peeling back years. Terrence peeked in, holding a warm bottle of water. "You okay?" he asked. She didn't answer at first, just stared at her reflection in the cracked mirror. Then, "You still got that spare key to the basement?" Terrence blinked. Yeah? Why?" Maya's eyes held something different now. Not just strength, but grief. "I need to open the cage." The basement of Kincaid Gym hadn't been touched in years. Old punching bags sagged from rusted chains. A dusty mat in the corner held the blood of a dozen forgotten stories. But to Maya, it was sacred ground. It was where she buried herself when the world stopped making sense. She stood in the center and whispered a name, Amira, her daughter. 26 years ago, Maya had made a choice to leave everything, the rings, the fame, the money, because Amira had begged her to. "Mom, I don't want to grow up afraid of you." Those words pierced deeper than any punch she ever took. So she dropped everything, moved across the ocean, tried to become something smaller, quieter, until one night, Amira ran away. Maya searched for years. Nothing. No leads, no word. Until 1 week ago, a letter arrived. No return address. Just one line. He's training under the name Maddox now. Tears welled in Maya's eyes. Not from anger, from heartbreak. Because Trey Maddox, the boy in the ring, was her grandson. And the man who trained him was the same man who broke her jaw in Dakar in '97. Amira's father. Maya hadn't just entered the ring that day to prove a point. She stepped in to break a curse. The next morning, Trey showed up before the sun. He wasn't limping, but his pride, bruised all over. "Miss Maya?" She looked up, broom in hand. I came to apologize," he said quietly. His hoodie was pulled low, and he fidgeted like a child. "I didn't know, He paused. "I watched the tape like 10 times. You didn't just beat me, you knew me. Trey, you ever hear the phrase, 'You don't teach lions how to hunt, you remind them who they are'?" He looked confused. "I wasn't trying to embarrass you," she said. "I was trying to wake you up." They sat together on the side bench. She told him everything, about Dakar, about Amira, about the man who trained him, about how she used to fight, to survive, and how he could be so much more. Trey didn't say a word for a long time. Then he whispered, "So you're saying, I've got your blood in me?" "No," Maya said. "You've got my spirit. Blood don't matter. Spirit's what keeps you standing after the 3rd knockdown." He nodded slowly, then asked the question that shook her to her core. "Can you train me?" Months passed. The gym's back room became a war zone of sweat, discipline, and silence. No Instagram, no entourage, no sponsors, just Maya, and a boy rebuilding himself one truth at a time. He stopped showboating, stopped trash-talking, started walking slower, listening more. He began helping clean the gym after hours, teaching the younger kids how to breathe, how to defend, not attack. The crowd at the gym started noticing. So did the world. Just silence and focus. Across from him was a fighter twice his size, a local heavyweight champion. The bell rang, the crowd roared, but Trey didn't move. He stood exactly how Maya once stood, arms loose, feet grounded, eyes calm. When the man rushed him, Trey stepped aside. One strike, not to the face, but to the heart. The man hit the canvas, stunned, not from pain, but from power with purpose. She just smiled, because the real win wasn't the fight, it was the legacy. And that is how one woman's silence carried more weight than 1,000 cheers. Maya didn't need revenge, she needed redemption. She didn't raise fists to destroy, she raised them to heal. And Trey, he's not just a fighter anymore, he's a teacher, a son of 2 worlds, a grandson of greatness. Now let me ask you this, what legacy are you leaving behind? Tell us in the comments, we read every single one. Where are you watching from? Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, because stories like these, they don't just entertain, they change people.